Long ago, in a peaceful village called Itoro, nestled between the sacred Osun River, lived a humble man named Adebayo. He was a farmer with hands hardened by the earth, yet his heart was soft with kindness and humility. His wife, Morinkeji, was a gentle soul, hard-working, quiet, and always full of prayer. But there was one thing they lacked, a child. Years passed after their marriage, but Morinkeji never conceived. The village women would whisper when she passed by. Some said it was the work of spirits. Others claimed they had been cursed. Children would sometimes point at them and sing teasing songs. Adebayo and Moraun, no child to carry, only yam and gari. The words cut deep like knives. Yet Adebayo and his wife never answered with bitterness. They only held each other tighter, their love unbroken by silence and sorrow. One night, Morinkeji softly said to her husband, "Adebayo, my love. Perhaps it's time you took another wife. Maybe the gods have not made me to carry a child." Gently but firmly, Adebayo replied. "Morinkeji, no. I married you because my heart found peace with you. I will not bring another woman to chase shadows. Let the world whisper. Let the gods answer in their time." And so, they remained, faithful, alone, but strong. But darkness does not always stay at the edges. Far away, in the village palace, power had corrupted the heart of a man. Oba Ajayi, a new king, had inherited the throne after his benevolent father's untimely death. His father, Oba Gbadibo, had ruled with wisdom and honor. But Ajayi was cunning, arrogant, and dangerous. Every child born in the village was to be brought to him for naming, a tradition meant to be symbolic. But the king twisted it. He claimed the naming rights so that every child would be loyal to him, not to the gods or their families. Worse still, he imposed cruel taxes. Every farmer had to bring their harvest to the king. The king would take 3 parts, keep 2 for himself and the palace guards, leaving only 1 for the farmer. Hunters faced the same, their catch divided into 3, with the king taking 2 parts and the hunter 1. Disobedience meant punishment, some beaten, others imprisoned. The king believed no one was wiser than he. He laughed at the gods, dismissed the elders, and surrounded himself with flatterers and spies. Oba Ajayi saw elders who questioned his greed as threats. One day, he set a trap. Among those targeted was Adebayo, who had once spoken out against the king's cruelty. Though he meant no harm, the king grew suspicious. Late one night, Adebayo was seized. Accused falsely of treason, he was beaten and dragged to the sacred Irako tree. There, under cover of darkness, he was executed without trial. Morinkeji, pregnant and unaware, waited for him until dawn. When the guards returned with the terrible news, she collapsed in grief. Yet, even in her sorrow, she felt a strange stirring in her belly. Soon, she began to feel strange changes, weakness, nausea, dreams filled with fire and voices. She sought help from the village healer, Iya Alake, who examined her with gentle hands and knowing eyes. Iya Alake whispered, "My daughter, you carry a child. The gods have sent you a gift." Morinkeji, in disbelief, asked, "A child? But Adebayo, he never knew." Iya Alake nodded softly. "Perhaps the gods knew. Perhaps your husband's spirit has not left you empty. Go and prepare, Morinkeji. This child is not ordinary." And so, in sorrow and silence, Morinkeji prepared for her child. She stayed indoors, guarded by her husband's spirit and the hope burning in her womb. When the day of birth arrived, it was neither thunder nor rain that announced it, but silence. The wind paused. The trees stood still. Then, a cry. A baby boy, strong, wide-eyed, and impossibly calm. And then, something strange happened. The boy began to speak after his mother wanted to take him to the king to be named. Mommy. Please don't take me to the palace. Marunikeji was stunned. Egbami. Did you speak? Yes. Don't take me to Oba Ajayi. He must not name me. I have come with my own name. Trembling, Marunikeji asked. What is your name, my child? Ologbon. In the Yoruba language, Ologbon means a person of wisdom, someone with deep knowledge, cleverness, and insight, even from a young age. And true to his name, Ologbon was no ordinary boy. From the moment he was born, his words surprised elders, his thoughts amazed chiefs, and even kings feared the wisdom that emanated from him. The whispers about the boy who spoke at birth spread quickly. The villagers marveled, and word reached the palace. Oba Ajayi, hearing of the talking child, grew restless. He summoned his advisor. A child who speaks at birth, who refuses my name. That is no ordinary child. That is a threat. Years passed. Ologbon grew, playing with other children but often speaking like an elder. He spoke of justice, truth, and secrets no child should know. One day, the king himself wandered into the village and saw children playing in the dust. He approached, asking in a commanding voice. You. What is your name? First child replied proudly. Ola Ajayi, Kabiisi. Good, said Oba Ajayi. And you? Abani Ajayi, your highness. Then, turning to the third. And you? My name is Ifideo. The king nodded, pleased, and said I named you well. And then he looked at a fourth child. He was different, quiet, unafraid. Your face is unfamiliar. Are you from this village? I was born here, the child replied softly. And what is your name? I am Ologbon. The king's eyes widened. A flicker of suspicion, then anger. Ologbon? Who named you that? The boy answered calmly, my mother. And who is your mother? Marunikeji, the late Adebayo's wife. Oba Ajayi's face darkened. He realized. This was the son of the man he had unjustly killed. Fear flickered, then rage. Then later that day, he summoned Marunikeji to the palace. You dared to defy me, he sneered. You let your child go unnamed by the king. Tomorrow is the festival, yes? Marunikeji, trembling, nodded. The king's cruel voice continued. Take these palm seeds. Plant them today. Make them grow today, harvest today, and produce 12 barrels of wine for the festival. Fail, and your child will pay with his life. Marunikeji fell to her knees, pleading. My king, please. Silence, roared Oba Ajayi. Leave my sight. Desperate, Marunikeji took the seeds home, tears flowing. Ologbon, now 12 years old but wise beyond his years, saw his mother cry. Mommy, why are you crying? He asked gently. She sobbed, the king has given me an impossible task. Palm wine from seeds planted today. Ologbon's calm eyes met hers. Don't cry, Mommy. We will go to the palace. He told her, follow me, and together they approached the palace courtyard with a single calabash seed. Ologbon knelt before the king and the elders. Your Majesty, he said boldly, I have heard you want 12 barrels of palm wine from the seeds you gave my mother today to serve to visitors at the festival tomorrow. Yes, replied Oba Ajayi. But, Your Majesty, we don't have bowls to serve the wine to the visitors tomorrow, so I came here with this calabash seed, which I would like you or one of your guards to plant today, let it sprout today, grow today, form today, cut it today, and turn into calabash bowls so that we can use it to serve the wine to the visitors tomorrow. The courtiers gasped. Oba Ajayi's face twisted with fury. Did you consider this before coming here, or are you mocking me? He spat. That is impossible, plants don't grow in a day. Ologbon replied steadily. Exactly. It's impossible for your task, too. Just as it's impossible for my mother to produce wine from a seed planted today. The court grew silent, tension thick in the air. The king's hands trembled. His pride was challenged. You are no ordinary boy, he whispered, a flicker of fear in his eyes. And so, he asked Ologbon and his mother to leave the palace courtyard. The day Ologbon silenced King Ajayi with his wisdom and the magic calabash seed had passed, but the echoes of that moment spread across the village and beyond like wild harmattan fire. Mothers told their children about the boy who spoke like the elders, the boy who dared challenge a king, and won. In the marketplace, traders whispered excitedly. Did you hear? Ologbon's not just any boy. Some say he is a child of the gods, one woman said. Others say the ancestors sent him to bring balance to our land, a man replied. But inside the tall walls of King Ajayi's palace, fear grew like a dark cloud. The king's nights became restless. He paced his chamber, his voice low and bitter. If this boy lives, I will lose my throne. The people looked to him like he is already king, King Ajayi muttered. His eyes, once full of pride, now flickered with worry and hatred. One evening, as the palace lamps flickered low, King Ajayi summoned his son, Prince Folklore. The air was heavy, filled with silence and the scent of burning palm oil. My son, the king began, his voice calm but serious, everything I do is for your future, and that of your siblings. One day, the throne will be yours. Prince Folklore looked puzzled. Yes, father. But why do you speak like this? King Ajayi's lips curled into a cold smile. In 3 days, you and Ologbon will travel to the village of Ajayi on a royal mission. You will represent me. Folklore frowned. Ologbon? Why him? The king's eyes sharpened. You will both dress as travelers. Your horse will wear rags, and you will wear tattered clothes. Ologbon and his horse will be dressed like royalty. The prince's voice rose. Why should I, the prince, look like a beggar while he looks like a king? Do not question me, King Ajayi warned. Trust me. I do this to protect your future. The prince left, confused and troubled. Little did he know, a deadly trap was already being set. That very night, while the palace slept, King Ajayi summoned Ologbon to his chambers. The torches flickered, casting long shadows on the walls. The king's face was calm, but his eyes hid a dangerous plan. Ologbon, the king said smoothly, you are truly gifted. When you brought the calabash seed, I knew the gods had blessed you. Your wisdom shines brighter than any elder's. Ologbon bowed respectfully but his eyes searched the king's face. What do you want from me, Kabiyesi? There is a mission to the village of Ajayi, the king explained. My son is young and lacks your wisdom. You will travel with him, but you will wear royal clothes. He will dress as a servant. Ologbon frowned. Why not send an elder instead? I am but a boy. King Ajayi smiled slyly. Because you are wiser than all elders combined. I want you close, to guide my son and show him how a true leader behaves. Ologbon hesitated. The king's words were honey-coated but something felt wrong. Still, the promise of honor and respect was hard to refuse. He nodded slowly. 3 days later, the journey began. Ologbon and Prince Folklore rode side by side. Ologbon was draped in fine robes and gold. Folklore's clothes were tattered, his horse covered in rags. Brother, Ologbon said softly, do you not feel ashamed? I, a farmer's son, wear your crown, and you are dressed like a commoner. Prince Folklore looked down at his ragged clothes, cheeks burning. What do you mean? Let us switch, Ologbon suggested gently. The people will honor you as the true prince. Folklore hesitated, then nodded. They exchanged clothes, the prince now shining like the sun, Ologbon dressed as a traveler. Unseen in the forest, the king's assassins waited, their orders clear: kill the one dressed like a prince. When the riders neared the trap, the men sprang out. A fierce struggle followed. One rider was struck down. But they had killed the wrong one. The clash in the forest was swift and brutal. The king's men, eyes cold and hearts set on their deadly task, attacked the rider who gleamed like royalty. Steel met flesh, and the prince, Prince Folklore, fell from his horse with a heavy thud. Blood seeped into the dusty earth beneath him. Ologbon, now dressed as a traveler, leapt from his horse and fled into the thick trees, heart pounding like thunder. He didn't look back. When he finally reached the village, breathless and shaken, he found King Ajayi waiting in the courtyard. "My king," Ologbon said, bowing low, "your son, the robbers attacked us. They killed the one dressed like a prince." The king's face turned pale. His legs trembled, and he collapsed to the ground. "What have I done?" he whispered, hands shaking. Yet deep inside, the fire of hatred still burned fiercely. That very night, King Ajayi gave a secret order to his guards. "Dig a deep pit in the forest," he commanded, voice low and cruel. "Cover it with leaves and branches. It will be the end of Ologbon." The guards obeyed silently, their hands working fast beneath the moonlight. But Ologbon was watching. Hidden behind thick bushes, he saw them digging the pit and smothering it with leaves. Quietly, he dug his own tunnel nearby, small but deep enough to escape through if trapped. The next morning, King Ajayi summoned Ologbon again. "It is time for the sacred rituals in the forest," the king said, solemn. "I must go, and I need a witness. You will come with me." "Why not take an elder?" Ologbon asked suspiciously. "No," the king replied, "you are wiser than them all." Together, they entered the forest, the trees whispering ancient secrets above. When they reached the trap, the king pointed to a heavy clay pot half hidden near the pit. "Pick that pot for me," he ordered. Ologbon stepped forward cautiously. Suddenly, the ground gave way beneath him. He fell deep into the pit. King Ajayi shouted, "Now! Cover it!" But Ologbon had prepared well. From the tunnel he dug, he crawled out unseen. When Ologbon returned to the village that evening, people ran and screamed. "A spirit! A ghost!" they cried. Ologbon raised his hands to calm them. "No," he said. "I am not dead. I saw the trap and made another way." King Ajayi was trembling with fear. His plans had failed again and again. Desperation twisted his heart like a thorn. Gathering the villagers in the palace courtyard, he raised his voice loud enough to echo through the dusty streets. "This boy's mother disobeyed me," King Ajayi declared, eyes blazing. "She named him without my permission. For that, he must die." The crowd murmured uneasily. Some feared the king's wrath, others glanced nervously at Ologbon, who stood quietly nearby. That night, Ologbon was bound tightly in a large sack. The guards dragged him through the village toward the river. "Throw him in at dawn," the king commanded coldly. But as the night deepened, a shadow moved swiftly through the darkness. It was Adikunle, one of the king's surviving sons. Ologbon nodded and said softly, "I am not afraid of death. But I must tell you a secret." "What secret?" said Adikunle. "Your father has another son with a woman from Ajayi. He plans to make that boy king. There is hidden gold meant for him." Adikunle's eyes flashed with anger. "Show me. Untie the sack, and let me lead you. But first, enter it, so that if the guards come, they won't know I'm gone." Adikunle agreed. Adikunle climbed into the sack, and Ologbon slipped away into the night. At dawn, the guards threw the sack into the river, unaware their victim was missing. That afternoon, as the sun hovered lazily in the sky, casting golden rays over the village, a figure emerged in the village square. He wore a flowing robe embroidered with glistening threads of gold. A crown of cowries and coral beads sat upon his head. His skin shone, untouched by death. Villagers gasped. "A ghost," one shouted. "Ologbon has returned from the land of the dead." Mothers grabbed their children. Elders crossed themselves and muttered prayers. Even the guards dropped their weapons and stumbled back in fear. But Ologbon raised his hands and spoke calmly. "I am no ghost," he said. "I fell into the river and found a golden city beneath the waters. The spirits of wisdom live there. They gave me this robe. They said I will rule with justice one day." Murmurs of awe rippled through the crowd. Then Ologbon added with a sly smile, "They said, if the king himself comes to them, they will make him greater than any who have lived." From his chambers, King Ajayi heard the commotion. He rushed out, his mouth falling open as he beheld Ologbon, alive, regal, untouchable. "You say, the spirits will reward me?" he asked, greed lighting up his face. "Yes, Kabiyesi," Ologbon replied, eyes steady. "But you must go the same way I did, inside a sack. It is the only path to reach their world." The king hesitated, but his desire for power outweighed his doubt. "Put me in the sack," he ordered. Quickly. The guards obeyed. Moments later, the sack was hurled into the same river. The villagers watched in silence. Ologbon turned to the palace guards with calm authority. "I bring a gift from the river spirits," he said, offering them gourds of palm wine. They drank. One by one, they collapsed, lifeless. The silence in the village was thick. Birds stopped chirping. Even the wind paused in the trees, as if nature itself waited to see what would happen next. The guards lay dead. The wicked king was gone, swallowed by the very river that had been meant to kill an innocent boy. The people gathered slowly in the village square. Women, men, children, and elders. They stared at Ologbon, the boy in golden robes, calm as a still pond. Elder Baba Tundi, the oldest in the land, stepped forward with shaking hands and wise eyes. "My child," he said, "you were born with a name, and with it came trials. But today, the gods have spoken through your life. Justice has returned." He bent low, lifted a smooth, hand-carved staff, and placed it in Ologbon's hands. "You did not seek the throne," Baba Tundi continued, "but the throne has found you." The crowd dropped to their knees. "All hail Ologbon!" Someone shouted. "Ologbon!" Another cried. "Wise king of our land!" Children danced. Women sang praises. Drums rang from every hut. But Ologbon raised his hand for silence. "I am still that same boy," he said, voice strong yet gentle. "The one born from a poor woman. The one the king tried to silence. I do not come to rule over you, I come to serve." The crowd clapped and cheered even louder. And so, the boy who had outwitted a tyrant, escaped death 4 times, and walked with wisdom deeper than the elders, became king. Not because he wanted power, but because the people finally saw what the gods had seen all along. That true kings are not born in palaces. They are born in truth, shaped by trials, and crowned by justice. Ologbon, the boy who spoke wisdom, became the ruler of a new age.